Thank you, Jeff, and I'll take it any day. Let's see if we can pop some slides up here. I want to set some context for the speakers that you're going to hear from today, and I want to take a second and define what we call the AI-driven enterprise. That's our campus and branch business. You know it as wireless switching and routing. But it was formed when Juniper acquired Mist 4 years ago and combined Mist AI and wireless with Juniper switching and routing. But if you want to understand the perspective of the people you're going to hear, we have to go back a little farther. About 22 years ago, Bob Friday, the godfather of Wi-Fi, founded the most successful controller-based wireless LAN system in the industry, a company called Airspace. And Jeff and I were just smart enough to go along for the ride, leading sales and marketing. But early in that journey, Cisco saw an opportunity and acquired our company in March of 2005. And then our buddy Sudhir, who opened things up, he saw the light, he left Trapeze and joined the team. And then Sujay Hajila, who was running Motorola's wireless business, joined Cisco in 2010 when we had $1 billion business in wireless, and in 4 years turned it into a $3.5 billion business. Really turbocharged Cisco's wireless business. And during our period there, we built the largest, what I now call legacy, full stack, controller-based wireless, catalyst switching, ISR routing product in the industry. We're kind of controller guys by heritage. But then in December of 2012, we're the team that acquired Meraki, the first cloud-managed networking team. And then 18 months later, Bob and Sujay stepped out to found a company called Mist. They had an opportunity to do something engineers rarely get a chance to do, to start with a clean sheet of paper with everything they'd learned over almost 2 decades and build the network for the next decade. And they did it with strategic funding from both Cisco and Google to build this new network architecture. Why did they do it? What problems were we trying to solve? And by the way, we were smart enough to rejoin them on the other side at Mist as well, in very similar roles. But as I look back now, there were 2 things that we were trying to solve. Within a year of acquiring Meraki, we were running into 2 problems in the market. One, customers wanted to know, well, which one do I buy? Do I buy the legacy Cisco stack, or do I buy the Meraki stack? And that was kind of easy. We could tap dance around that and say, well, depending on what you want and things like that, pick one. The harder problem was customers were saying to us, you know what I really want? I want the power of the controller, and I want the simplicity of cloud. And that's what we couldn't deliver. And that was 10 years ago. So I did like Jeff, instead of ChatGPT, I asked Google. I said, you know, when do you sell Cisco DNA controller, and when do you sell Meraki? And I scraped this slide just 2 days ago off the internet from one of the largest partners that offers both, and I think they did the best job, and I ran this business for a decade, of explaining it, and it looks exactly like it did 10 years ago. Well, if you need great RF, if you need great voice roaming and location, you better buy the controller in DNA. And so for your hospital, and this is the use case they're given here, you need to buy controllers in DNA and put it in the main hospital. But for your clinics, you want cheap and cheerful, and you got to manage a lot of them, do Meraki there. And literally the prescription is to do both in one enterprise. And I think many people have heard the same story. It's either or, pick your poison, simple or good, and maybe do simple in your remote sites and good in your campus. And we felt that was a bad solution 10 years ago, and we don't think it's the right solution today. But then what really I think drove Bob was this. If a user in your enterprise is having an experience like this on the network, how do you know? And the simple answer is, you know when they call up IT and complain, and then you start to react. And Bob's simple vision was, AI could do this. We're talking 8 years ago. AI could figure out there is data in the network. We could know that that experience was bad. And then if we were really good, we could tell you proactively exactly where in the network, end to end, from client to cloud, that problem existed. So turn this thing around from a reactive IT organization to a proactive IT organization that spends more time delivering business value and less time firefighting with stuff that nobody enjoys. That's where Mist and the AI-driven enterprise came from. But I think it's worth now, particularly with what's happening right now in our industry, to step back and look at the pivots we've made along the way. Wi-Fi started in the retail vertical with companies like Telzon and Aeronet, and the 802.11 standards happened as a result of retailers needing a way to do mobile inventory management. But the industry was transformed when Intel put Wi-Fi on the motherboard of every laptop made. And in a 5-year window, every company you do business with today, except for Mist, was founded and formed. Every architecture was put in place. And what's really interesting when we look back now is that was before the smartphone. That's what really drove the growth of our business. The iPhone didn't exist when this happened, and it was before modern cloud services exist that make things like AI possible. So these architectures have been in place for a while. And then our view is that what happened for a long period of time wasn't so much innovation on technology, but really financial engineering. Cisco completed the portfolio, Aeronet early on, then Airspace for the controller, then Meraki for the cloud managed network, multiple portfolios. Obviously Aruba taken by HP, the Motorola part of Symbol, along with Aerohive taken by Extreme, and Ruckus sold a couple of times since then. But those are the players, then and now, until Mist was formed, with this vision of what is the next generation of wireless networking in 2014, acquired by Juniper to create this full stack for the enterprise. But now I think the most profound change is about to happen. ChatGPT is the most rapidly adopted app in history. I think it was announced in December, and by January there were 100 million users on the app. Think about the power that people are getting used to that AI brings. And now, when we talk about AI and the network, people are a little more responsive to say, oh, maybe there's something there. And it's driving change in our industry. So large enterprises, for the last 20 years, have had one choice. Which flavor of controller architecture do you want? Do you want the Aruba? Do you want the Cisco? Maybe the Ruckus? You know, those are your choices. And over time, this evolved from an access point and a controller to access points, controllers, sensors to monitor kind of sort of user experience, other sensors for location services. In the case of both Aruba and Cisco, another controller to control the controller, a DNA controller or a mobility master. And then all these services that somebody in IT had to manage and pull together and upgrade and update. And what's become clear to everybody is that these things are complex, they're rigid, they're the opposite of a DevOps environment, and they will not go to AI. You cannot get enough telemetry into a premise-based architecture to go where we're going. So where everybody is aligned now is the future of our industry as cloud. And what I'm here to tell you is Juniper is ready now. We're not ready for that remote site that Meraki mastered in 2007. We're ready for the largest enterprises in the world. As Sudhir said, they're here today, and that's what I want to talk about. Can we service the SMB at the same price point as Meraki and Aruba? Absolutely. Can we deliver more value? You bet we can. But we can take every use case in Fortune 10 companies, and we're doing that. It's interesting to see how the industry is pivoting now. Aruba held Atmosphere here, one of the best shows in our industry, I think, just 2 months ago. They were followed by Cisco in May at the Mobility Field Day. And look how remarkably similar their slides look. What they're talking about is cloud's really important to our business. We're in the middle of pivoting and transforming our cloud from an early stage cloud to a next generation cloud, maybe even a microservices architecture. We're struggling a bit. Aruba was candid on stage and saying, yes, I'm sorry for the issues we've had with Central, we're working on it. Meraki likened their transformation to flying an airplane and overhauling the engines while you're in flight. They actually said that. What they're doing is difficult. While they're busy pivoting, our focus is very simple, and that is accelerating the vision that we've had for 8 years in the industry. I don't think the right choice for you is to say, how many devices are on your cloud? 100,000 SMB APs sending the same information to a cloud is not the same as getting the telemetry you need in a large enterprise. And that's why I also encourage you, as Sudhir said, don't listen to me, don't listen to Jeff. Listen to the outcomes that your peers in the industry are getting, because that's what matters. Our goal with AI from day one has been to enable you to deploy networks faster, at lower cost, with fewer mistakes than any technology in the market. There is a customer here that's deployed as many as 3,000 access points in a single night. This is scale and automation that no one else can match. But once you've deployed, the vision from the team at ServiceNow has helped guide us, is how do we eliminate all trouble tickets in the network? Why can't we have AI know that somebody's having that bad experience and either fix it automatically or root cause it so fast we fix it before they can open a ticket? And I thank them for their vision and guidance on that. And let me tell you, we have made amazing progress on that. And for when the network can't fix it, we want to take the MTTR, the time it takes you to resolve, as close to zero as possible. And this is possible with AI. It is not hype. And then the third thing we want to do is, once we get you the right network foundation, is how can we truly contribute to better outcomes? Sudhir mentioned the largest healthcare provider in the world is here in the room, and their journey started with how do we deliver a better patient experience. They innovated around an app that looks like Uber for a doctor or a nurse to call for a wheelchair and see it coming. This is really cool stuff. I've met with the CEO of Fortune 500 retailers that want to figure out how to marry their web presence with in-store services so they can compete with other e-commerce retailers. When you combine location services and context with an app, you can deliver real value. But you need a network that can provide that foundation. That's what we're about. So I challenge you to listen today, and I know Sudhir is going to ask questions of the enterprises that will speak to you on stage. Does it really work? Was it worth it managing your old network while you moved to the new network and you had to have 2 workflows for supporting users? Let me tell you what our users are telling us. The largest logistics company in the world reduced the time to close a trouble ticket by 96% before and after. A global rollout, 130 countries around the world. These are not SMBs I'm talking about. These are the largest enterprises in the world in production with real results from AI. You're going to hear from the team at ServiceNow, so I won't steal their thunder. But how can AI actually help them in a race to zero? Zero trouble tickets in the network. And you're going to hear from multiple customers that say, I'm not sure how it worked, but we've had customers running large school districts that were dealing with many, many, many cases that went for a year with no cases. It is possible to get there. And that's what we're counting on AI to do for you. The formula looks simple, but no one else has replicated it yet. What we started with 8 years ago was this vision of getting enough telemetry from every client in the network in real time to know about that user having a bad Teams call experience, to know ahead of time. And then, as Jeff said, 8 years of development on AI algorithms that not only try to do what your best technician could do if they were awake 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and had a sniffer next to every access point and switchboard. That's hard enough on its own. But there are some things that even the best human cannot do. They can't tune the radio resource management of a controller in real time based upon actual client experience the way that AI can. They cannot catch a robot trying to do a fast roam and not succeeding on the first time it happens with all the data about why the fast roam failed, and to let you know that's happening in the network. Human beings cannot do that, even if you can hire hundreds of them. And that's what these algorithms are about. This is how we're trying to help. We moved to a microservices cloud. This was Bob's vision early on. He saw what the founders of Meraki did in building their own cloud in 2007 and said, what if I used a modern cloud? That would be AI ready. And that's the transformation that Aruba and Meraki have ahead of them. And this is the foundation we need to deliver high levels of reliability and yet agility in the network, where we're releasing new capabilities every 2 weeks. Unheard of in the wireless industry. And then last, built into our access points, everything you need to do location services, simple and easy to deploy. Something that was theoretically possible before with Wi-Fi, but prohibitively expensive and a science project every time. This makes it easy to deploy. Who cares about location services? We've won 2 of the top 5 banks in the world. What is every enterprise concerned about right now? After payroll, their number 2 expense is real estate. They want to know, do I have too much, too little? Are my conference rooms being used? And yes, a well-designed network can tell them exactly that without sensors and overlays. Hospitals have hired chief patient experience officers to get better Medicare reimbursement rates by delivering better patient experiences. The applications that we've seen, the leader in healthcare, the Uber for wheelchairs, wayfinding for the patient in the hospital. Same thing in the university campus, same thing in the retail store. These are powerful capabilities. And then last, to be able to expose this entire set of capabilities through APIs. Every vendor in our industry has an API-enabled architecture. We can all check the box. No one else has a 100% API-enabled architecture. When you start with a clean sheet of paper, we're API first. Everything you're going to see demonstrated today, we represent through an API. You can get the same data. You can integrate any way you want, and ServiceNow is going to talk about that today. So my point here, it's about outcomes. And it's about outcomes in enterprises like yours, not just the SMB with 3 or 12 APs. The people in this room have hundreds of thousands of APs on a single view of a cloud network, a single dashboard that does it. And speaking of dashboards, it's high time that the industry give you a full stack built for the large enterprise that gives you a single pane of glass and one dashboard for wired, wireless, SD-WAN, and NAC. But what I'm here to tell you, and by the way, the power of this is more than just buying from one vendor. This now completes that view from client to cloud. One of the customers, Fortune 4, that inspired us to acquire a 3rd-generation SD-WAN technology and integrate it with Mist AI, said, Tom, this is 1 + 1 + 1, wired, wireless, SD-WAN equals 10. The impact of getting this end-to-end view for us is huge. But what I want to say to you, and what you'll hear from users today, is dashboards are interesting, but they're not the future, because you still have to poke around in a single pane of glass. Why not let AI bring you insights and translate that into actions? Hey, here's the things that are wrong in your network right now that I can't fix. I can't fix your bad cables. And by the way, we find a ton of them in networks. I can't fix the mismatch in speeds or full duplex, half duplex on these clients. But you can, and here's what you need to do. And oh, by the way, once we've served it up, there in the bottom right, conversational AI interface. Tell me why Sanjoy's team session between 9 and 11 yesterday didn't work well. That's simple. Imagine your level 1 help desk with this capability. Imagine what it would mean to your organization if we could do what we've done with ServiceNow. 90% of your trouble tickets go away. What if we could do for the world's largest logistics company, the ones that are left, we reduce the time to resolve by 96%. Would that make you happier with your network? I think it might. So I'll close with this. Gartner has singled us out for the last 3 years as a leader in the Magic Quadrant. The most recent year, they put us to the highest position in the wired and wireless MQ. They also put us as a leader in location services. The two together are magic. And we are the only networking company that's a leader in location services. Just about everybody else in that chart is a partner in our ecosystem to provide these OT networks. And as you're listening to me and you're thinking about it, if you haven't made the step yet, you're saying, wow, this sounds great, but I have all this money tied up in the network I bought 5 years ago based upon a 20 or 15-year-old architecture, and changing is hard. I can't rip it all out and be done like MIT did in 4 months. I'm going to have to live with both for a while. And do I really want to live with my old network and this new network and two different workflows? What I want you to hear is you're going to change your network anyway. You're going to move to cloud no matter which vendor you do it with. What I'm here to tell you, and I hope the customers that speak to you will echo this, is we're going to make it easier for you to do that than anyone else. And you will have two workflows. You'll have the old one that's hard, and you'll have a new one where hopefully we get rid of most of the trouble tickets and simplify resolving the remainder. And there are 4 ways we can get started. One is we can wait for your refresh. Your 6E is logical. Second is we can just put up your new sites. Why put an old architecture into a new building? We can fix your trouble spots. That's how we started with ServiceNow, the pain points. Or we can help you with business transformation. How one of the largest banks in the world wanted to get a handle on their real estate cost. How the largest healthcare provider in the world wanted to change patient experience with location services on the network while getting a great network. So with that, I'm going to echo what Sudhir said at the beginning. Don't listen to us. The customers are in the room. You're done with sales and marketing now. Jeff and I are off the agenda. It's all founders, engineers, and customers.
So
over to you, Sudhir.
Before we introduce
before
the customers,
we do, okay.
How many of you have never deployed in your organization a Mist AP? Show of hands. A few of you. Thank you very much. No, that's not true.
Are we preaching to the converted? Are we preaching to the choir?
So keep your hands raised if it's okay. Just and be okay. There you go. Okay, very good. First of all, thank you for showing up. What I want you to remember is when you come to a Juniper event, you never leave empty-handed. You may not buy our APs, you may not get stuff, but the gentleman there sitting there, I'm going to give you a jacket. All you have to do is tweet that I am at this awesome AI in action event. It is jam-packed. It's standing room only. This is the best place to be. No, you don't have to do any of that. We will come hand this over to you. But if you do tweet, if you are allowed to tweet by your organization, and if you can tweet, please do tweet. If you do tweet, I do have a jacket for you waiting. That's it. It's really that simple. You could come grab this Marvis jacket if all you did was on Twitter said, Sudhir looks great on stage, or Tom sucks.
No. Get it the other way around. He was doing great right up till then.
Whatever works. But thank you very much.